And now, a TV16 special presentation. Mayor Vincent C. Gray's One City Summit from the Washington Convention Center. From the Washington Convention Center in the nation's capital, hey everyone, I'm Furman Patterson and welcome to TV16's coverage of the One City Summit.
And I'm Cecily Fernandez. You know, residents from every ward in the district have gathered here today for this all-day event, hoping to make their voices heard.
Yes, residents have been invited by the mayor to come here today to participate in making the city a better place to live.
And we're going to be checking in with reporter Kelly Carter-Knight. She's going to be listening in on a lot of the discussions that are already taking place, and she's going to be telling us what residents really think about life in the district.
And what's fascinating about this summit is that residents are coming here today to actually work. This is not just a town hall meeting where people talk to the mayor talks to people, but they're actually going to be working, looking at solutions to the city, giving their input on different surveys and directions the city wants to go on different issues. So this is going to be a work day for district residents.
It's about as interactive as it gets, and because of that, the mayor and his administration is going to have so much information going forward on all of their policy initiatives. To really know what residents think about each of them. And we saw, we had a bit of a preview. The mayor recently had his State of the District address. So we have an idea of, what's going to be discussed here today. Some of the same themes you're going to hear throughout the day.
Like jobs, like the economy, like training young people to be ready for 21st century jobs. And also the mayor talked about education, which is very, very important, has always been. But I definitely will want to know how residents feel about the direction education is going and just what the progress is so far.
And what will be interesting to see is, at each of these tables, it's a mix of residents from different wards. So it'll be interesting to see, depending on where you live, you have different concerns. And that's something that the mayor talks a lot about because his theme of one city, particularly in D.C., you have some wards where you have low unemployment, then you have Ward 8, you have 30% unemployment. This is something that the mayor talks a lot about, how to bring up all the wards so that all the wards are experiencing progress. How do you do it? That's a big topic here today.
And definitely it seems that residents are ready to go. As we look out on the hall, we see people already filling a lot of the tables, and there's a lot of technology. We can just see now that there are laptops, there are keypads, so residents will be high-tech savvy today, so
at least leaving. They'll get to experience probably every high-tech gadget there is today to input their suggestions, their comments, their feedback, and so I'm looking forward to seeing what kinds of discussions they have and really what they think about even the small issues like garbage collection. I mean, it doesn't have to be the big things like the economy, even the small things, and the mayor introduced a lot of great statistics in the State of District. We know that, for example, homicides are going down, but what residents may be aware of, robberies up. So there's, so it's a mix, and the mayor talks about that. A lot of good news and a lot of areas for improvement.
And as we mentioned, our colleague Kelly Carter-Knight is going to be talking to both participants and organizers of today's event, and she's already grabbed one of the theme team people, and you'll find out what that means when Kelly talks to him. So stand by as we go to Kelly right here in the hall.
Furman and Cecily, I'm here with Hala. She's the captain of the theme team, and she's going to explain to us what she's doing here today with America Speaks.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So as you see behind us, there is a laptop computer at each one of the participant tables. And throughout the day, as participants are asked discussion questions, they'll be having long conversations at the tables. When they come to agreement or consensus, they're going to be typing their ideas, their feedback into those computers. And then all of the information that's entered in from these 160 tables will go to a bank of computers over there that we call the theme team. We have a group of 12 folks whose job it is to read all of that data, all of that feedback that's coming in from across the room. And our job is within the course of, say, 10 minutes or so following the completion of the discussion to actually report back to the entire room all of the major ideas or themes that have come from the conversation so that people will have a sense not only of what the conversation was or what the outcomes were at their table of 10 people, but they'll have a sense of the whole. So what the major feedback and ideas were that emerged from all of the 160 other tables. So they'll have a sense of their group of 10 and then the group of 1,600 or so, what the major ideas were. And we'll be presenting them back up on these large screens that are behind us, so that everybody in the auditorium will be able to very quickly see those ideas.
Well, that is instant gratification if I've ever seen it. Now, what happens to that information after today?
Sure. Well, let me just tell one other point as well, which is at some point during the day, we're not only going to show the themes, but we'll actually ask people to vote on them. So every participant at their table has a small voting keypad, and at some points we'll ask them, here are the themes or the ideas that have emerged. We want you to prioritize them. We know that resources are limited. We probably can't do all 9 or 10 of these things, so pick up your keypad and vote. So people actually have a few minutes to review them, maybe have a conversation at their table, and then they'll be able to vote on them. After today, all of the data that's written into those laptops is captured. Nothing is going to be lost. And after today, the mayor's office and the other folks in DC government will have the opportunity to look at everything that's come in. So if there was a really good idea that was captured that didn't emerge as a theme, maybe we only saw it once or twice and not many times, that idea will never be lost. It will also be captured, and folks can go back and look at it after the fact.
Well, thank you, Hala. We look forward to talking to you more later today about what's happening. Thank you.
Thank you.
And so you've heard from a member of the theme team about how this whole thing will roll out today. But of course, before residents get to work, and they're busy, they're eager to get busy, we're going to hear from the mayor, who's going to open up this whole event. So he'll be talking in just a few seconds. But again, theme teams, technology, it sounds like it's going to be an exciting day today.
Yeah, imagine if you're one of the residents here, and thinking about, that what you have to say is going directly to the mayor, and that you could have the opportunity to make the mayor aware of one of your new ideas for the city. I think that's something that's very exciting for the people gathered here today.
Yes, and definitely the mayor will be talking about One City, his theme, what that means to him and what it means to residents. So they'll also be talking about that throughout the day today. So we're eager to get started. As you can see, people out at the tables are eager to get started, and it's going to be an interesting day for participatory democracy.
You got it. Looking out at the tables, you can see just how diverse a city we have. And that's another thing that the mayor is going to be talking about, a theme in his State of the District address, that the demographics are changing, and that here in the city we've had a big increase. We've actually had 20,000, as we mentioned before, new residents to the city, and the demographics changing a lot. And you can see that as you look out on the floor. It's really amazing. The mayor talks about just what a cosmopolitan city we have.
And not just people out on the floor, but people out in their homes can participate in today's summit. They can go to the website at onecitysummit.dc.gov. Again, that's onecitysummit.dc.gov, and participate in the summit. So you don't actually have to be here to still have a voice in the direction of the city. So throughout the day, folks at home, visit the site.
Yeah, and these people, as you mentioned, are going to be working hard. This is not a situation where they're going to be listening to speeches, breaking for lunch, listening to more. This is, as soon as a topic is introduced, whether it has to do with education, jobs creation, housing, whatever it is, they're going to be responding, giving their input, having discussions, maybe even debates. It will be interesting to see, and also probably just bringing up their own concerns that, maybe, they weren't even on the agenda.
Right. And that's interesting because people have been visiting the website already. But so we're going to go to the table now because the mayor is just about to speak right on the stage.
Good morning. Let me say how delighted I am that our fellow District of Columbia residents have joined us here today. It is my honor to welcome you to the inaugural One City Summit, especially as we adjust this. Technology is wonderful, isn't it? Again, I want to welcome you here this morning. This is a Saturday morning when lots of people don't necessarily get up and get out early, but look at the numbers of people who are here. It is absolutely fantastic. So again, as I indicated, this is our inaugural One City Summit, and we are absolutely delighted that so many people have come out. Again, we want to thank you for getting up on a Saturday morning and doing this. On Tuesday, during my State of the District address, I noted that the concept of One City is far more than a slogan. It's far more than just a logo. It really is the philosophy that undergirds our administration, and is also a practical guide to being able to make the concept of One City work for our residents here in the District of Columbia. Today, you will help us build a roadmap to get the District of Columbia to a place where it truly reflects the idea of One City. I am a huge believer in citizen engagement. I think our city is far better off when we give our residents genuine opportunities to shape and influence our city's direction. At the citywide level, at the neighborhood level, and at the level of important policies and specific functions of the district's government. I'm also a huge believer in the District of Columbia. It is a wonderful place to live, work, visit, and to do business. As I will share a little later this morning, we are reaping the benefits of the district's greatness. We are reaping the benefits of the district's greatness right now in ways that we haven't seen in many years. We are experiencing the first net population growth in decades. And neighborhoods all over the city are buzzing with new life and new commerce, bringing to life the entire city from the West End to the East End. Our economy is growing and is in many ways one of the strongest of any city in the country. In the past year, we have witnessed a major turnaround in our city's fiscal outlook, meaning we are no longer depleting our critical reserve fund after years of spending it down. Instead, last year, we managed to boost it for the first time in 4 years by replenishing it to $1.1 billion, the envy of the entire nation. So, not only do we live in a great city, a lot of great things are happening to our city. But it is also a city in which a lot of progress still needs to occur, as there are many of our fellow Washingtonians who have not benefited from our turnaround. I believe that our great city can become even better because of our many cultures, races, and peoples, and that's our city's prosperity can be available to all. No matter what their ethnic background is, their national origin, their faith, their gender, their sexual orientation, or their neighborhood. Don't we agree that everybody deserves the opportunity to be able to make progress and to be able to live effectively in our city? I also believe that we are at a unique moment in our city's history, and that we must seize the opportunity to manage the massive changes our city is experiencing in ways that benefit the maximum number of residents, whether they're old or whether they're new. So again, I want to welcome you to the first of what we believe will be many One City Summits, where citizens of our great city can come together, roll up your sleeves, set priorities, and forge ahead together toward creating one city. Now, I'm going to turn you over to two dear friends, two people who have proven their ability to get things done here in the District of Columbia, Carolyn Lukensmeyer and Don Edwards. Carolyn is the founder and president of America Speaks, a national nonprofit based here in the District of Columbia that does large-scale citizen engagement throughout the country and actually around the world. You may remember her as one of the lead facilitators when Mayor Williams did his citizen summits a number of years ago. Don is a senior associate at America Speaks and is also a well-known facilitator and, too, is a good friend. He has led many public forums in the District of Columbia through his own company, Justice and Sustainability Associates. So please join me in welcoming two people who I can't think of are better to be able to lead this effort today, Carolyn Lukensmeyer and Don Edwards. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mayor Gray. It is indeed an honor and a privilege for America Speaks to be part of this historic first One City Summit. And it couldn't be on a more important set of topics than the ones that we'll take on today. I want to ask a quick question. I actually want you to raise your hands for a minute. How many of you have some real concerns about the health of democracy in the United States of America? Okay, this is serious stuff. Today we're going to be dealing with two of the challenges that face our country and face our city. First and foremost, of the people, by the people, really needs some oomph put back in it. We're living in a time when the question is real of whether citizens' voices can outweigh, can keep an even influence with too much money and too many special interests. You're here today. Your voices are going to be heard. The second major challenge, which has grown bigger in the last decade in this country, no democracy can survive when the gap between income and wealth gets too large. All of the issues that the mayor has put on the table for you to come together and talk about get right at the heart of that issue in our city. We have a chance to really strengthen democracy in the District of Columbia in the coming months, years, but we'll start it today. Let's get started on some democracy in action.
Thank you, Carolyn, and thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a real pleasure to be here today to talk about making the One City Summit a success. I am really moved by the fact that I see so many people who have worked on development in the city over the last decade or more, and it's really remarkable that we can be here to talk about something as bold as creating one city in the District of Columbia. Let's think about that for a minute. And then let's remember that this month, February, and this day is the day that we celebrate the birthday of one of our district's most distinguished residents, Frederick Douglass. We want to take a minute, yes, let's acknowledge him. I don't think it would be robbery to consider his life and his experience and how he created himself. He was a self-made man, and the way that he contributed so much to this city. I think if he were here today, and he is probably here in spirit, he would be really amazed, but more importantly, pleased by this extraordinary vista that we see and are a part of here today. So I think that also deserves some acknowledgement. We have come a long way in this city, and we're here now to talk about going to the next level. And so we don't want to pause. We want to talk to you and begin to explain what we're going to do today and how we're going to do it.
Don and I are very excited about the chance to do this together. And what we want to do is just quickly talk with you about, we just have two main objectives. There are two things we're trying to accomplish here today. The mayor in a few minutes will be back up on the stage to share his vision with you about how he sees what one city can be in the district. As soon as he's completed that, all of you are going to have a chance to respond to that and to add your beliefs and ideas about what will it take for us to truly become one city. The second objective that we'll look at today, we're going to explore 4 key policy issues. How do we diversify and grow our economy? How do we create early success for all infants and toddlers? How do we really educate our youth, starting in pre-kindergarten all the way through the 12th grade, so that they can actually be ready for jobs or entering college, whichever they choose? And last, and maybe the toughest issue of all, this country for decades has had structural unemployment across the nation, particularly in its urban centers in the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. DC is no different than the rest of those urban centers. This administration wants to collaborate with you, the business community, and nonprofits to take a larger step forward about helping people who've been out of work for a long time get back into the workforce. That's what we're about today. So let me just quickly, this is very quick, and one of the wonderful things that you'll see is the way the table facilitators will help. The day will move by faster than you can imagine. On the screens you see, we'll start out in a minute with you doing some substantive introductions of each other at the table. We'll then take a look using the keypads about who's here from the whole city. The mayor will be back up for one city, and then we'll just start through each one of those policy topics. You see down at the next to the last bullet, as far as we know, this has never been done by a city before. How are we going to know whether or not we're making progress on these issues? Now, many cities have begun to develop and do real results measurement and key indicators. But what's first today, we're going to ask you, the citizens of DC, to help identify the indicators you want to watch to see if we're making progress toward becoming one city. And we'll end the day with Mayor Gray. We'll be back up here on the stage, sharing with you some of the ways he's been influenced by today, but most important, sharing with you what the next steps will be to keep the progress on one city moving forward.
So, some of you have attended summits like this before, but many of you are hopefully here for the first time, and we are welcoming you. But I want to explain to you what's going to make this maybe an interesting first-time experience or a repeat experience for those of you who've done it before. First of all, you're all seated in small groups at these tables. You're going to have a table discussion throughout the day, and we're going to guide you through that, but you have a table facilitator who's going to help you have those discussions in an orderly way so that we can capture your input. You've also got a packet of materials that we are going to use as discussion materials so that you can understand and follow presentations that you're going to be given from the podium and slides, and that will help you stay focused on the content. We've also got a lot of technology that we're going to use to help us all stay connected from these various tables. So you already see that you have a laptop computer, and by now someone at your table has been designated to enter and be a laptop operator. Your task today is going to make sure that we get information from your table and send it out to a number of people who are working at a theme team. So I want to do a couple of things. First, let's have all the table facilitators stand. They're volunteers. They've given a day to make sure that your discussions work well. All right, thank you. They have come from literally all over the country as volunteers to be here to help us today. And now let's look at the theme team. If we could have the theme team members stand so that you can be acknowledged. They're right over here in the back of the room. Okay. So through your laptop computer and with the guidance of your table facilitators, you're going to be connected to the theme team, And then there's one last piece of technology. All of you should have a keypad. Let's see it. Hold up your keypads. Okay. That's how we're going to poll and get your feedback on specific questions around prioritization and preferences throughout the day. So this is what's going to keep us operating as a big room with many, many small pieces. So now what we want to do is remember that at the end of the day, before you leave, we will ask you to evaluate, but you're also going to get a preliminary report that allows you to walk out knowing exactly what you agreed to and what some of the next steps are that you can hold us and the government and the mayor accountable for. So these are the key components of how we're going to make the summit work today. Carol.
Okay, one last thing before Don actually invites you to really go to work. Ground rules. You already met your facilitators. You all know in your own families or at work or wherever that if there's not somebody helping to guide the discussion, the sort of extroverts take over, and those of us that are more introverted may not get our voices in. But it's not only the facilitator that should pay attention to that. You'll see in the middle of your table is a little stack of these options, but I want to run through them quickly. First, we hope that you will speak openly and honestly from your heart about what you really believe about these issues and how they impact all of us in the district. Second, equally important, if I had to pick the one skill that is most essential in a democracy, I'd pick listening. We all spend too much time broadcasting and not quite as much time with really open minds and hearts listening. The third rule, again, keep the comments brief and stay on the task. You know, the things I care most about, sometimes I think if I say them 5 times, I'll influence you. The truth is it doesn't really. So bottom line, make your point and keep moving. We really want the differences that exist in this city to be talked about at these tables. So explore them, be respectful, but then look for where can we come to common ground to really help the city understand how to use its too scarce resources. All right, now, you know, there's one, in the world we live in, this shouldn't even just say cell phones, I suppose. This is a turn off all your devices time. We need people to be fully present at the table, really engaging with each other. Those of you who are accustomed to tweeting, you can do that after the day is over. Okay, the last thing I want to talk to you about is a little bit different in this particular time in the calendar. As you know, it's primary season in the district, and it means candidates are out there trying to be sure they're the next people to govern, and they want to get their materials out to you, etc. We have made it possible for anyone with materials of any kind to share those outside the hall. But for while we're here together, really looking at these issues, it's inappropriate to advocate either your candidacy or any other issue that you care about. Willing to go along with that? All right. Let's go to work. I'm gonna Sorry about that, but we're trying to get Don's microphone closer to his words.
Okay, they can't hear me.
Give us a minute here. As the mayor said, when technology works, it's great. There you go.
How's this? Is this better?
Yes.
All right, thank you for your patience on that. All right, so now we're ready to get to work. You've got your keypads, you've got your worksheets, you've got your table facilitator, your laptop operator has been identified. Let's go ahead and do the first thing, which is to make sure that everybody is introduced. We want you to give your name, the ward you live in, your neighborhood. We want you to go around and make sure that all of that's done. We especially want, however, for the laptop operators to capture why did you decide to come to the summit today. Laptop operators, please make sure that you enter each person's information or answer and send it to the theme team often and regularly. We're going to give you a few minutes to do that, and then we're going to poll you and share back to the room some of that information. So you'll have about 10 minutes to do that. Get to work.
street side, but I'm going to say it's all coming from you, and all of your thoughts and ideas will be forwarded on. So I just want to let you know that I'm here as a neutral party, sort of like the traffic cop, as you will, just to kind of keep things moving the right direction, okay? So with that said, Pleasant, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself, say what ward you live in, and tell us why you're here today?
Let's see. Yes, my name is Pleasant Man. I live in, actually live about 3 blocks away. But I'm now in Ward 6 here. So, but I guess one of the reasons I'm here is it's so close by here. But also, I guess I participated in some of the events similar events they've had earlier in the decade here. Sometimes some of those are pretty interesting to see. People's.
Joining me is Paul Quander, Deputy Mayor for Public Safety and Justice. Thanks so much for joining me. I know it's early, but tell me your impressions. What are you interested in hearing today?
Well, first, I'm interested in hearing what citizens have to say, what's important to them, how can we realize the dream of one city, how can we make that work for everyone. One of the initial impressions is that this is just fantastic. The number of citizens that gave of themselves to come out on an early Saturday morning. This ballroom is absolutely packed. Citizens are energized. They want to participate. And it's a great vehicle for our residents to actually come out, interact with city officials, let their voices be heard, and communicate. And this is one of the fundamentals of our government, which is fantastic.
So for you, from your standpoint, and you're involved in public safety and justice, you plan to really use the information that's collected to impact how you view policies moving forward.
Absolutely. One of the primary roles of government is to serve the citizens, to serve the residents. And what better way to find out what the citizens need and what they expect than to talk to them directly, without any buffers, without any filters. So this is direct communication. And it doesn't happen everywhere, so I need to applaud the mayor for making this happen and taking the initiative. To have this many people to come out to lend their voice to good government is absolutely fantastic. So I want to absorb all that we can, get the information, share information with them, and that's how we make our city better. That's how we make our city one.
One thing the mayor talks a lot about in this, the theme of one city, is just how there are big differences between wards. And I would imagine what you deal with, crime, in particular crime, different people have different concerns in different wards. Is that something you see, and how do you deal with that on a policy level?
On a policy level and on an individual level, crime is crime, and good order is good order. And if people aren't feeling safe in their communities, in their homes, in their schools, then we have a serious problem. So one of the things that we've tried to do is to make sure that we're responsive, that we anticipate, that we address crime and other social issues so that we can prevent crime and promote a sense of calm and good order in our city.
And one thing we've heard that I know you guys have got to be very happy about, homicides down, which is great news.
Homicides are down, violent crime is down, and that's very significant. As the mayor mentioned just a few minutes ago, the city is growing. The city is vibrant. I mean, it's alive with energy and commerce, and we need to continue to protect that. And one of the things that people feel most secure about in the district is that crime is under control. Crime is going down. It is a good place to live. It's a good place to do business, and it's a good place to have fun.
And one area where crime is up a little is robberies. And we heard the police chief talking about having a partnership, because apparently robberies in particular of electronics is up, and working with maybe private corporations in developing ways to turn off these electronics or trace them.
Right. We've had an uptick in nonviolent robberies, the snatches of the smartphones, the iPads, the electronics, and that's driving crime, not only in the district but nationwide, not only in the United States, but it was also a problem in the UK. And so what Chief Lanier has done is to take a leadership position. She's met with representatives of the Federal Communications Commission. She's met with the telecom providers, and we're trying to take the profit out of the crime. And there's a mechanism to do that, but we need a collaborative approach, and that's what the mayor and the chief have been in the forefront of bringing this issue to Congress and to the telecom communications to see if we can't get it addressed.
Now, another exciting area, I know that you also work on homeland security issues,
yes.
And I know that the mayor is very involved, big push to try and get the Homeland Security headquarters on the St. Elizabeth's ground, which is
yes.
so exciting. Can you tell us anything about that? Is that moving forward? Because I know that would mean so much for residents in particularly Ward 8.
One of the main functions and one of the things we wanted to talk about at this conference today is sustainability and economic development. And we have the campus at St. Elizabeth's Hospital, and there's a federal government presence there, but we want more. We want the Homeland Security Department to be there. And there's some budget realities that we have to deal with Capitol Hill, but the mayor has been in contact with Secretary Napolitano. We have good relations. We are working, and it's something that I think is going to happen. We have to do a little more work, but I think the path has been set. We're on the avenue, and we're walking in the right direction.
Oh, that sounds great. Well, thank you so much for joining us
right.
here today.
And
I know
thanks
you're
for having me.
You're going to be here all day.
All day.
Good for you.
And it's good to be here.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
I want some input into how to help create one city based on economic parity. That's a better way to say it. Based on economic parity. Desire or what was the word matter? Input into how to create one city based on economic parity. Economic paradigm? Parity. Equality, equity. And I'm a fourth generation Washingtonian, which is the real reason I'm here.
You're invested?
Exactly. Very much so.
So, Ronnie?
My main reason, I'm not from D.C. I relocated here about 12 years ago from the West Coast. And I got involved in being a returning citizen myself. I got involved in the returning population of Washington, D.C. and realized just how critically damaging it was to the families and to the communities of the district, with them not having a jail and all of their family and friends being relocated all over the country if they're ever incarcerated. And that is a major damaging factor to the quilt of the family. So I'm very interested in how we can, as a community, as one city, let the level of recidivism be low with our family and friends, because when they become citizens again, because I don't call them ex-offenders, they're returning citizens, this is what they have to come back to. So we have to be in a position and in a place to be able to accept them and receive them.
So give us that in one sentence.
That,
I can say what I paraphrase it.
Sure.
Interested in levels of recidivism in returning citizens, acceptance,
2 minutes.
resources available.
2 minutes remaining.
And, no, I'm not interested in the levels of recidivism. I'm trying to lower the levels of recidivism. So it's not an interest. I know they're high. You know what I mean? So it's how are we, as this One City Summit, going to address the issues of returning citizens in the District of Columbia, and what services are we going to be able to provide to make the transition back here good enough to where they don't recidivate.
Right. Okay. Integrate them back into society.
Okay, right.
So as you can see, Cecily, it's in full swing right now. We've heard from the mayor, who gave people an idea of what's going to happen today and his impression of some of the things that have, some of the progress that's happened in the city so far. He talked about the net growth in population, increase in the city's rainy day fund, and in general about the city's demographics change. So right now we see that residents are actually working. They've got a task in front of them right now.
Yeah, this is, I think, the preliminary thing, starting to get people to introduce themselves and, talk about, why they here, what brought them to the summit, what their particular issue that they most want to see addressed. But things are just just getting going,
just
getting
going.
started.
And we understand that the mayor is going to come back and give his vision of what he sees one city, the meaning of one city to him, so people will get a crystal clear version of what that means. So he'll be coming back to talk to the folks here today.
And we've seen, we have an idea of that just from the state of the district. He talks a lot about one city. It's definitely a theme of his administration, and we're going to hear more about that very soon.
And as we hear behind us, Mayor Gray is on his way back to the stage to talk about, as we said, what one city means to him. So let's go to the stage now and listen in.
How close did we come to achieving that goal? We're now going to use the keypad, so please pick your keypad up. And please be sure you use the same one all day long. There are a few things to tell you about how they operate. They're really very easy. When we ask a question, there'll be a number for each answer. If you want to press number 4, that answer, then you just press 4. Many of us might by accident press 5 just because our thumb's bigger than the numbers or whatever. Don't worry about it at all. The keypad will only register the last time you punch it. So if you make a mistake and hit the wrong number, or frankly, if you change your mind, just hit the one you want. Okay. Sometimes later today, not in this demographics, but later today, we may give you a multiple choice option where you'll have the opportunity to vote for more than one. In that case, all you do is you push all the numbers that you want to vote for. All right, our first polling question. Now, frankly, given what the weather people said earlier in this week, we thought this question might be a little more relevant, but let's do it anyway. We're just past the midpoint of winter. How many more inches of snow will we get before winter is over? For 1, too little to measure. 2, several more dustings, but nothing to worry about. 3, only 1 decent-sized storm, 6 to 12 inches. 4, a bunch of storms that will throw the local TV weather people into a tizzy. 5, the largest snowfall on record. All right, have fun. Just pick whichever one you want. See what's become of me. Okay. 40% of us, several more dustings, but nothing to worry about. And some of us think, as often happens, is that we're going to get one more big storm. Okay. Now we're going to go to the real reason we're asking you to do keypads, now that you've got the hang of it. I want to make one important note. We're going to compare who's in the room to the 2010 census. And some of you probably have seen, as each year goes by, some data is updated. But the only consistent number we have is the 2010 census. So that's what we'll be using for comparison. Let's start. Who are we? Press 1 for female, press 2 for male. What is your gender? Whoa, 61% female, 39% male. All right. Where's the comparison? All right. So, 3 cheers for the women in the room. We've already done that. But I guess I'd have to also acknowledge that we're going to have to make sure that the men's voices get heard, right? Right? Okay. All right, next. Now, we know in our culture we have a lot of things about how old we are, particularly the 61% of us that are women. But nobody knows what number you push, so you got to tell the truth here. Press 1 for 15 to 19, 2 for 20 to 24, 3 for 25 to 34, 4, you've got the idea, and for 7, it's 65 or better. right, let's start at the top. 15 to 19-year-olds, 8% of us are that young, better than the census. How about a round for our young people? Woo! All right, the next category, 20 to 24, which is that tough age of a transition from home to the real world. We got 6% in the room, and the census is 10.7. So make sure that transition age really gets heard at your tables. All right, 25 to 34, we have 15%. Census is 20.7. Again, a tough age group there. Whoa, we lost the screen. Could we please have the right screen back? All right, thank you. 45 to 54, 19% of us in the room, 12.5 in the census, so we're a little higher. 55 to 64, 22 to 10.6, we're higher. So 65 and better, 20% of us, 19% of us are 65 and better. Let's give a round of applause for folks who are out here. All right. We are very good on age, but let me remind you, in that grouping from 20 to 30, really from 20 to 44, we're a little lower than we would be optimal, so make sure those voices really get heard. All right, that next slide that we just saw. Of course, it really matters that we have all voices from race and ethnicity, so number 1 for Asian American, 2 for Black or African American, 3 for Latino, 4 for Native American or Indian, 5 for white or Caucasian, 6 for more than one race, or 7 for other. Okay. The stats here in the room, and let's have the comparison right away. Asian Americans, 8%. 3.5 is the census. African Americans, 44% of us in the room, 52% in the city. All right. Latinos, 19% in the room, 9% in the city. Wow. Whoa. Native American, 1% of us in the room represent Native American or Indian cultures. Fantastic. White or Caucasian, 22% in the room, 35% in the city. A little bit low. More than one race, we chose 5%. Census shows 3.2. So again, we are in very good shape here. I would just say, if you're from an underrepresented group in any way, just make sure your voice gets heard. Thank you. Don.
Okay, now we want to find out where you live, and this begins to find out who came the longest distance to make sure we came to the city center today. So let's get that slide up. All right, push 1 for Ward 1, 2 for Ward 2, 3 for Ward 3, etc. 9 if you work in the city but don't live in the district. 10, none of the above.
Well, right now I'm with Tracy Cohn, and she's with CoVision. Can you explain to me what you're doing here today? And
sure, our role is to provide the technology, and we brought along the laptops, and we worked very closely with America Speaks to design the portal so participants can put their answers, we can get their feedback, and then we can collect all of the themes and put it together to see what's on everyone's minds here today.
Have you already gotten a sense of what the feel is in the room?
Yeah, there's a lot of great energy just seeing by the turnout. Registration was high, and it's great to see them get their initial answers that are coming in and seeing what's important to them, what part of the city they're from, and letting the mayor know how they feel on certain issues today.
And the polls were quite interesting. What do you think about the numbers and the attendance of female versus male and the age difference?
Well, I think it's great, and I know they were trying to replicate exactly what they had with the census, the 2010 census. So it's good to see everyone's participation here, coming out, and having their voice heard, which is the whole point of this meeting.
Right now we're hearing some results, and I don't know if you can hear as well what's being said, but what kind of feedback do you get from the group as this whole process happens today, from the tables to the team?
Well, the most important thing is the feedback. They feel that they can come and have their voice heard and talk about issues that are important to them here in Washington, D.C. So that's the main goal of it, and that's what we're trying to capture and giving them all a chance to do that with our laptops and the questions that we've designed.
And how were the questions designed? What went into creating those questions?
CoVision worked closely, our process consultants, with America Speaks and other members of the mayor's office to get the questions so they could best answer what's important to people, what information they're trying to get, and if you're going to come out and spend your day on the Saturday, get as much information about them and how they feel about the issues in the city today.
We'll have to get some more of those responses later and get a sense of what people are thinking and feeling and saying today.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's see. All right, 24% according to the census data. We have 27% under 25,000. For 25,000 to 50, we have 18% in the census, 20% are in the room. For 50,000 to 75, we have 16% in the census, 15% in the room. Over 75,000, 30% are in the room compared to 42 in the district. 8% are not sure. So we've got some pretty good diversity here in the room. So that's good news for us. Thank you so much. Give yourselves a hand. All right, now, I have lived in the district because we know that there have been some tensions between folks who've lived here and folks who are more new arrivals. So for number one, if you've lived here less than 5 years, push 2 if you've been here between 5 and 10 years, 3 between 10 and 20 years, 4 between 20 and 30 years, 5 more than 30 years, 6 none of the above. Okay, let's see what we've got.
No comparison on this one, so go.
Okay, so we have a very interesting distribution. We've got 17% here less than 5 years. 11% between 5 and 10 years. So if you take both of those and add them up, people who've been here between 0 and 10 years, 28%. Between 10 and 20 years, 20%. Between 20 and 30, folks who have really been deeply invested over time in the district, 13%. But more than 30 years, 34%. That's really excellent. Bravo. Thank you all for coming out today. Okay. Now we want to go and report back to you some of what we learned when we did the question about why are you here?
You know what? Before we do that,
yes.
I don't know about you guys, but what we just looked at, I think if a statistician were here, they'd say basically, we made it.
The city is
all
here.
Within range. How about giving yourselves a hand for being here? Sorry, but I thought.
So, our theme team has been very busy. They've taken the data that you've so conscientiously sent to them. Let's find out what the themes are that they want to report. 1, make my voice and our collective voices heard. 2, speak for others who are not always heard, like youth, seniors, the homeless, immigrants, people with disabilities. Speak up for education and affordable housing. Learn more about what is happening across the district and where we are going. Some people came to learn about the mayor's vision, learn more about what's happening in different wards and neighborhoods than the ones they probably live in or work in, learn more about available opportunities, and that's very practical, jobs, education, and housing. So now that we have these themes, and I hope that you will see a theme or two that was sent forward from your table, we're going to do a quick polling.
No, we're not polling on these.
We're not polling now?
No.
Okay. No. All right, so thank you for those themes, and now we're going to move to Carolyn.
So, we want to bring Mayor Gray back to the stage. As he told you in his welcoming remarks, he really wants to share with you his ideas and his aspirations for how we can become one city. He'll start by sharing some important ways in which our city has actually changed in the last 10 years. He'll share with you some of the key assets that our city has, and he will be very, very candid about some of the toughest challenges that are facing our city. So please join me in welcoming Mayor Gray back to the stage.
First of all, let me thank Carolyn and Don for getting us off to a great start. Can we have a big hand for them? They're going to help lead us all day. Again, they do a great job, and I want to thank them for the amazing work that they've done already here and will do throughout the rest of the day. I'd also like to thank Steve Brigham, who is somebody we've worked with for some time and is doing a yo person's job here today. Steve, thank you very much for what you're doing. I also want to take the opportunity to thank our sponsors who are helping to support this today. Blue Cross, Care First, Blue Cross Blue Shield, the Hotel Association of Washington, D.C., FedEx, Verizon, Comcast, Washington Gas, E-Construction Group, Unite Here, Local 25, MedStar, and Mrs. Clifton W. Jones. How about a big hand? They have really helped us be able to put this on today and to especially support our lunches. As I mentioned in my introductory remarks at the beginning of our program, I want to share with you some more details about why this is such a critical moment in the district's history. We are at a crossroads, ladies and gentlemen, and we must take the opportunity to seize our future and harness all of the dramatic changes that we're experiencing for the maximum benefit of our entire city. Today, D.C. is both a magnet and a changing city. It is the proud capital of the world's most democratic nation. It is also a place where the dream of living in a progressive, prosperous, inclusive, vibrant city indeed is achievable. How do I know this? I know it because we have become one of the top retail markets in the United States and the top relocation choice for young professionals. D.C. has the largest number of fast-growing private companies in the region, and we're among the top cities in the world for foreign real estate investment. We're also, believe it or not, the most literate city in the United States. And as recent surveys have shown, we are also one of the greenest, most livable, and most sustainable in the U.S. as well. Yet, with all of the neighborhoods and people represented here today, as well as viewing on TV and on the web, we need to speak truth to each other about the critical challenges that persist and divide us in this city. Our city is in the midst of a sea change. Our population, our economy, our jobs, our schools, and our neighborhoods all are changing. The historic demographics of our city have changed. The people the district attracts are younger, more diverse than they have been in the last several decades. In the decade between 2000 and 2010, we added about 30,000 residents. That growth has now accelerated. And in the last 16 months alone, we've added approximately 17,000 residents to our population in the city. And it appears now, ladies and gentlemen, that no single racial group is the majority in our city any longer. Increasingly, we are a more cosmopolitan and diverse city with people of every hue, ethnicity, culture, and religion. And we're also increasingly more affluent. But the fact is that while 6 of our wards have seen increases in family income, 2 of our wards have not. The economy is expected to grow significantly over the next decade or more. By 2015, we are expected to add an additional 45,000 jobs in our city. So despite our tough economy, the jobs are coming. We have a universal pre-kindergarten program. Our public schools are improving, and a high percentage of residents have college degrees. Yet, in some parts of our city, more than half the residents do not even graduate from high school. The result is that despite all the increasing prosperity in the city, a large segment of the district's population still finds it very difficult to get and hold a job. Indeed, in some neighborhoods, a quarter or more of the adults are unemployed. Overall, 20% of district residents live below the poverty line, and even more tragically and even more shocking, in some wards, 30% of our children live below the poverty line. Now, while some residents bear a disproportionate burden of these negative indicators, other residents of our city bear a disproportionate share of the cost of funding our city's social safety net. Yet, despite the best of intentions, some of these services actually trap people in a state of dependency and denies them the dignity of work. These factors actually create a cycle of regression: social and health problems, lack of advancement, and joblessness, to say nothing about the awful waste of human talent. And make no mistake about it, the entire city ultimately suffers as a result of these kinds of challenges. This is why we are all bound together in a single destiny as a city, and why what happens in Barry Farm and Deanwood affects what happens in Georgetown and Cleveland Park, and vice versa. For me, then, one city is about a place where no one group is favored over another, where everyone has a fair chance to succeed, where everybody pays their fair share, where we move forward together, and where everyone is better off as a result. So today, I'm asking you to commit with me to help us build this one city of our dreams. Help me find a way to create a city where every resident participates in a diverse, thriving economy. Every resident lives in a neighborhood where they feel safe and they are safe, where every resident is able to send his or her children to a quality traditional public school or a public charter school, where every resident has a good quality of life that includes access to quality health care, recreational opportunities, affordable transportation, affordable housing, and an array of retail choices, where every resident gets a solid return on their tax investment and high-quality customer service from their government. Where every resident lives in the most environmentally sound, sustainable city in the world, and where every resident has a voting voice in the Congress of the United States.
About that one city,
the beauty of this One City Summit is that we are here. hundreds, thousands of us from every ward, every corner of our city, gathered under one roof with one purpose, and that's a fine way to start building one city. I am a true believer that listening to one another and finding ways to achieve common ground is at the very heart of our democratic system. Today, we will place before you facts and promising ideas. We will identify barriers and breakthroughs. And the beauty of this summit is that each of you will vote and see immediately, as you already have, what you prefer and what you want to recommend. This is real-time, grassroots democracy, DC style. My fellow residents, I invite you to join me in the belief that our city can go places and reach heights that has never been before and never achieved before. And I urge us once again to be able to do that together. I want to thank you for helping us to build one city. I ask you to roll up your sleeves today, to work hard. You will see the results of your effort as we go forward in the District of Columbia, and let's build the kind of city that 618,000 people can feel proud of and can recognize themselves in as we go forward. Let's get the work done, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.